Nasty Knuckles, the Hockey Outlaws podcast, with your hosts, Derek Nasty Settlemyre and former Philadelphia Flyer enforcer, Riley Cote, as they go behind the scenes with your favorite NHL players. This week's guest is former Philadelphia Flyer defenseman, veteran of 1,069 games, and a work ethic that's second to none, Nick Schultz. Time to face off.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Nasty Knuckles. We first wanted to thank our friends at Deal Dash for the support. It's no surprise that I love winning. Nast, I know you do too.
Oh, that's all I do. Hashtag winning. You know that, Riggs. Come on, man.
Well, we're always chasing that feeling. So since I've retired off the ice, I'm still winning on the ice because now I use Deal Dash, the online shopping platform that is actually fun. Deal Dash is the longest running penny auction website and app around. Too good to be true, Nast?
Not a chance.
You bet it is. I've seen a car sold for $900.
What?
Oh yeah, 900 Beanos.
Jeez.
A brand new TV for less than $2. Can you believe
All right. Yeah, I need a new TV.
Let's get you one.
Today,
Hop on.
I'm getting on. I'm on.
Let's do it. And no one wants to be a loser. Don't be a loser. Stop paying full price for the things you want and get on Deal Dash. Go to dealdash.com or download the app now. Get after it, Nast.
Riggs, chicks do not dig losers.
Nope.
Deal Dash, baby.
Deal Dash.
The chicks love it.
So when you register, enter the promo code Knuckles. That's code Knuckles for a special offer. And let's get after it.
Let's get after
it.
it.
What else is going on?
Oh man, guys, keep it down. They're hanging our regular season championship banner up for Natty Ice in the office here. So
why not?
Right there. Yeah, we need to leave room for the next thing in the playoffs here. But big win, came off of our first loss in like 3 years in the men's league.
Devastating.
Oh, our boy
Talk
John.
about loving winning.
Oh my God, love winning. Deal Dash for Natty. It should be on our jerseys because we're winning. But
the real deal.
I wish I had more to do with it. I'm just kind of
you're
skating around out there.
Finisher.
Well, I don't know if I'm the finisher. I like to dish, but you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll finish when I have to, but not much, man. Another busy week. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up. Something got a little knife turned into it a little bit, but we're still going to have a big surprise for everyone. Hopefully next week with something we can't really say yet.
Yeah.
But, it's
life is easy. There's always adversity.
There's always something.
It'll be great.
Someone trying to mess with you, but we'll take care of that.
Yeah.
How about you, buddy? How was your week?
That was good. It was good. Just some stuff with the girls, watched a few hockey games. Not a whole lot of improvement on the Flyers front. It's a little more of the same. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it just, I think at this point now it's just so much frustration. It looks like I actually went to a couple games and playing hard. You know how it is when you're squeezing the stick too hard, man. Yeah. I don't want to make excuses, but they're trying. They played a couple good games. You lose that one the other night, little crazy bounce, ends up going through Moose's legs, but he played a great game. I just feel for the boys right now.
Yeah, it's tough time.
It's not fun when I don't know if we're mathematically out yet, but it's not looking good. And it's tough when you got 12, 13 games left and you kind of know you're not going to be in the postseason. And to me, this team's a postseason team. And I don't really, we can't put our finger on what has happened. But bright spot this week was Wade Allison coming in.
Yeah.
2 really energetic games, scored his first goal, which was awesome.
Yeah. Brought the emotion.
Yeah. Fans and people don't really want to hear about, okay, next year, but that's all we got right now. And maybe some of these kids get some games. You get a good look at them. Like our guest this week, Nick Schultz, is working with those guys. So he seems to think they got a lot on the farm.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's a tough time for a player. I think they've obviously sensed it slipping away for some time, and it's getting out of their grip, and now it's essentially out of their grip completely, where now it's slipped away, and you're playing the last 11 games, with that foggy attitude towards the game. But that being said, it's an opportunity to kind of create your culture and your identity for next year. Obviously, there's gonna be some moves, there's no question, but everyone's playing for their livelihoods here and their career and their longevity. So, I mean, you'd like to see some, these guys really showing their pride. These guys are proud guys. No one likes to lose. No one likes to lose, the way they've dropped some of these games, but the effort is there. It's just, that cohesiveness as a team, whatever the formula is, it's lacking, but nonetheless, I mean, they got some good pieces moving forward. It's just how they're going to finish, it's like, how are you going to respond these next 11 games, and show a little fight. So, we will see. It's kind of like every time we do this talk, we have hope. And then there's kind of like, just more and more bumps in the road, and we come back to the table and we talk about those. So, well, who knows? We'll see, but the time is ticking.
Like you said, it's you know better than me on the player side of it, but on my side of it, it's just you're feeling for the guys. You're still doing all your work for the guys, and you just try to keep a happy atmosphere. I mean, as happy as you can be. You're positive, I should say. And like you said, just try to finish these last 11 to 12, whatever is left, hard and build. I mean, and you're not. I know it's a long shot. You're not out of it mathematically yet. So
yeah, you string 11 wins together. You might have a chance.
I mean, you never know, man.
You never know. Yeah.
Crazier shit's happened.
We've seen it before.
Yeah,
stuff like that before. Who knows? But so you got to be consistent to do that. And I think that their whole season's been about inconsistency. So who knows? We'll see. There was some positive stuff going around the league, though. Like you said, like Patrick Marleau playing his 1,730 whatever,
69 or something. Crazy.
Surpassing Gordie Howe, which is an amazing feat. But beyond that is just like what I hear about this guy is nothing but positive. This guy is like a class act, and I saw that interview of him talking to whatever reporter about this moment, and he's just like so emotional, as he should be. Talked about how much he just love the game, and just like just live the game. So the only way you can do that is to approach the game like that. So pretty cool thing to see. Yeah,
it was watching him post game, man. You're fighting back tears a little bit, because this man is, I mean, how do you play that long in the league? It's like even when like we were talking to Schultz yesterday, 1,000 games, it's amazing.
I know.
But God Almighty, he's almost at 2,000 games played. It's crazy. Crazy.
It's crazy. And the only way to evolve with the game, the way the game has gone, being from that old school era and then evolving with this new game, is being able to skate, being able to keep up. I mean, that's why most guys drop off, and he can skate. Yeah. I mean, obviously his point production has dropped, is playing less of a role, but the fact that you can keep up with these young guys at this new game is pretty amazing. So props to him. I mean, even Milan Lucic plays 1,000 games.
Yeah, big Lucic.
1,000 sounds like a lot of games, and it is. It is. Almost 800 games more. Is incredible. So props to those guys. That's an amazing career. And
Luch has played his 1,000th, and he said he has some, he's tillying it up. It's a lot of games, man. Man, you gotta give guys like that credit. He's been in the league a long time, stayed in the league, and he's had good years too. It's not like he can't score, go to the net. He's a big man, obviously, and he's still chucking the knucks a little bit when he has to. I guess Daryl got in there, and he was doing it anyway. But Daryl probably
spiced him up a little bit.
He's stirring the pot. What'd he say? I heard he said something about you, Luch. What? No, I'm kidding. But
exactly.
It would be funny. All right, Riggs, let's get into our interview with Nick Schultz, presented by Draftkings Sportsbook. Masvidal and Usman put on a show the last time they stepped into the octagon. Round 2 is sure to pack a punch, just like you used to do it, Riggs. I'm telling you what.
You know it.
DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of UFC, is putting you in the center of this weekend's title fight with 26-1 odds on either title contender to reign victorious. Pick either main event fighter to win during this weekend's UFC 261 title fight, and DraftKings Sportsbook will give you the 26-1 odds. Just bet $5 on either fighter to win, and if they walk out with a belt, you will cash 130 buckaroos, baby.
Cash money.
Cash money. There's no better way to put your MMA knowledge to the test than to put your money where your mouth is with DraftKings Sportsbook. Don't worry if MMA isn't for you. DraftKings Sportsbook offers great odds and promotions on basketball, hockey, and so much more. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable, so you can deposit and withdraw your funds at your convenience. Download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code KNUCKLES when you sign up to turn $5 into $130 if the title contender of your choice wins. Place your bet and watch the fist fly this weekend. That's code KNUCKLES to turn $5 into $130 if the fighter of your choosing takes home the crown for a limited time only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Pennsylvania only, new customers only. Restrictions apply in partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Nasty, let's go. Welcome back to another episode of Nasty Knuckles. I'm Riley Cote.
I'm Derek Settlemyre, and this week we have an awesome guest, our good buddy, played over 1,000 games in NHL, Mr. Nick Schultz. What's up, Schultzy?
How you doing, fellas? Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. You're a busy man.
Tough man to get a hold of. He's been trying for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Oh, come on. I always get back to you guys. So busy time. So it's good.
You've been one of the easier guys to nail down, so we appreciate it. It's not always that easy.
No, excited. Like I said, excited to be on. So,
yeah, man. So good to see you. It's been a while. You and I go pretty far back, and we'll get into all that. But just kind of starting in the present moment, what you're up to. I know you're working for the Philadelphia Flyers right now as a player development coach. You want to talk about what you got going on and how long you've been doing that?
It's been fun. So I've done it the last couple of years. I think this is my fourth year not playing now. The first couple of years I didn't do much. Been coaching my son's hockey team, which has been fun. So he's turning 14 now. So he'll be going second year Bantam next year. So he's going to be 14 coming in October. So that's been fun. I know everyone talks about when they're done playing and kind of the transition and stuff, but I've been fortunate with three kids and family and stuff to be busy with that. But like you mentioned, player development the last couple of years. So it's been a little bit interrupted with the COVID situation last year halfway through, and then this season's been a little bit strange. But the Phantoms are up and running, obviously, and getting a chance to play some games. They had a little bit of a shutdown the last little while here, but they'll get back this week again. So for the most part, just traveling to Lehigh and working with the guys there and get a chance to go on the ice there and helping with lots of good young prospects they have coming up in the pipeline there. And some of the kids that are playing college hockey or Canadian juniors, whatever it is, whoever they've kind of drafted and that's coming up, we kind of keep our eyes on and make sure they're doing the right things, and we can be a little more hands-on in Lehigh, which is nice and enjoyable to be out there with those guys and try to build a relationship with them and help them, ultimately one day become a Flyer and help the Flyers, in the long run. So. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, man. I mean, it seems like a fitting job for you since you, like Nasty said, you play over 1,000 games, but the one thing I think about when I think about you is just like, you're just always being a pro guy. You understood the game. You're a student of the game. You don't play 1,000 games by accident. And and you kind of were on that verge of not calling you an old fart, but like, you're on the kind of that verge of you've seen kind of that old school transition into this new school
for sure.
Type of game.
For sure. I was kind of right on, like you said, right on the cusp of that, where when I came in, that's kind of was the mentality and how it was kind of into this transition of kind of the new age player and things. So you kind of had a little mix of both of that. But like you said, most of the guys that are doing player development now are guys that have played the game and kind of been through it, coming up through the ranks from junior and if it's minor leagues or playing professional hockey. So it's kind of nice to pass on and help these young guys coming up. And it is a big jump if they come from junior or college. It's a big adjustment. And these guys are moving away and coming to Allentown or into Philly, and it's a big jump, and it's tough to make it and stick around. So it's kind of nice to be here and help out in situations like that, where you can watch these kids and really help with their game and make sure they're doing the right things, like you said, to become a pro, and make sure you're taking care of yourself away from the rink. Nutrition, sleeping, all this stuff is important. And then when you get to the rink, that you're doing the right things, and these guys are committed. And like I said, it's our job. All these teams, these good teams now, develop their young players, and really have to be able to, have these guys step in the lineup. You see Wade Allison and Lashinsky come up recently, get a chance. They were playing great down in the American League, and we got some good young prospects, the Flyers, coming. So hopefully get a few more up there and helping the big boys out and the team up top. So.
Schultz, I had a question for you. Like we were saying, you're not old, obviously, but like you did kind of come in at that time where the game was changing, and but you still saw some of the old school as well. Like sure. Just looking at some of the teams you played on and the players you had, I know it was still. I mean, even when you were playing, it was a little different than it is now. But this year, we've talked a lot about not just the fighting, but like the physical play. Maybe because teams are playing each other 2 to 3 times in a row and stuff like that. But what I wanted to ask you was. So you would be, to me, would be a great coach, you're a great person to be teaching these kids, because like Riley said, you don't play 1,000 games or more, plus you played more than 1,000, but if you don't have dedication, leadership, work ethic, all that stuff, which you always had, I was with you for 3 years, but I think it's important for a guy like you to be doing that stuff, because I know it's not ever going to go back to old school. And I'm not just talking about fighting. I'm just talking about everything, the way you play. And like you're saying, do you think that's important, having a guy like yourself there, instead of maybe, a younger guy that didn't go through that stuff?
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, I think that's most of the guys that are filling or teams are looking for in a player development role. So like you said, somebody that's been through it and kind of knows what it takes, and maybe not necessarily, like you said, a superstar player. For myself, I had to really, like you said, be dedicated, be committed, and work at everything I did, because nothing really came easy, right? So you always kind of had to work at it. And like you said, had to be a pro and do the right things, and the little details in the game that you have to continually work at. So some of these kids that come in that have that skill and have that ability, they have to find this other that's not going to get you by, right? You have to have those little details in your game. You got to put in the work. There's lots of good players and guys up and coming. So to kind of have that mentality and that mindset. And I think the kids really respond to that. If we're down there and talking to them and stuff, they really respect you. And it's different because you're not a coach. I don't have to yell and scream at these kids. They got the coaches there, and we can kind of be there. We can be there, and we can still be hard on them and be honest with them and let them know where they're at, right? Like if you want to make that next step and you want to get there, this needs to get better. And you need to really focus on this if you want to make that jump. You made the jump from junior college to the pros, but now if you want to make that next step, and every kid does, to play in the National Hockey League, there's, that's what we're there for, to help these guys and make them realize the little things that they have to do in their game. And it might be something small, might be something, really glaring that they have to change or get better at. But it is, I think they do respond to that. And it's nice to be in that situation where we're not working on systems and things like that the coaches have to do. We can really focus on each individual player and helping them with their games is really fun as an ex-player to be able to do that and watch Wade Allison, watch some of these guys come up and see the impact they can have at the next level. It's fun, and that's rewarding, as in this role, is to really, we want to push these guys and make sure they're coming up and helping the Flyers someday. So.
Yeah, I think one of the key things you said there is being honest with them and being able to be, because a lot of times these days, the way everyday life is, like, kids are pampered little more.
Yeah, for sure.
And, I've even seen, I about 2 years ago when I was still with the Flyers, I remember one of the coaches, it was Lappy, just addressed the situation with a player on the bench. Yeah. And it was just, hey, like, you gotta, and he was upset, like visibly, like, and
for sure.
And like you said, you got these kids coming. Maybe these kids have been like, you guys know you're probably the best player when you're growing up in your
most
area.
Have been,
and you're told this. I think it's different now. I think back in the day when you guys were probably coming up, I know it was probably harder because with me growing up, I remember, I never played hockey, but playing basketball and soccer and that, you got your ass reamed out. Nowadays, you gotta watch everything you say. I mean, just so I think it's good that, like you said, you can be honest with them, especially if they're accepting of it and they want to get better. They will be,
for
right?
sure. For sure. And like you said, you can go off your past experiences. I know as a young player coming up, I had Jacques Lemaire, who was a great coach, but he was always very hard on the young guys. And I think he didn't do it in an awful way or anything like that, but he was hard on you. He made you earn your time there. And it was, so it was all those experiences that I have, or if a kid goes through it, you're like, we've been through that. I've been through that. And that's normal. And if the coach is being hard on you, you have to respond, right? Like you can't curl up and like you said, people have that. Every kid's different how they respond to criticism, but you have to do it in the right way and really push them and know that if they want to get better and want to get to that next step, they gotta put in the work, and they got to know that everyone's, trying to push the right buttons to get them going and get them that next step. So.
Yeah. I said one more question before we move on out of player development stuff here. I know you took care of yourself off the ice, and again, just like having that longevity, which is obviously part of your teachings, but you're working with defensemen, I'm sure, primarily. And the game has changed obviously throughout the last 5-10 years, and activating the defenseman, and the getting the D more offensively involved and all that stuff. So now you draft these players. There's obviously weaknesses that you see that have to be addressed and improved on, but is there is there a one or two things that this is kind of like the future of the game, and this is the things that we kind of like as a philosophy of an organization that you're really priming with these young defensemen?
Well, yeah, like you said, a lot of these kids now, the skill level is crazy, right? And all these kids have skating coaches, skills coaches, and they're putting in all this work, and they generally have that aspect to their game. They still need to refine it and still need to get better at it. But we talk about it all the time with the young guys down there. As a defenseman, you need to learn how to defend the right way, right? With a good stick and positioning and finish and play the game the right way, and ultimately be hard to play against. And I think what some of these guys lose is the Flyers mentality has always been hard to play against. And you come into Philly, you should be like, wow, it's going to be a tough game. And these guys are hard to play against every single night. You don't have to be the biggest guy, but you got to be involved in the fight. You got to play hard. You got to stand in there in front of the net, regardless if you're 5'10" or you're 6'4", and you got to establish that. And I think even if you're not we have Mason Millman, a young guy in the minors that should have been back in the OHL this year, and he plays that way. He's not a big guy. He hasn't fully developed yet, but he goes in the corner and he tries to finish on everything. He's got a good stick. He's on the body. A guy comes to the front of the net. He's giving him a cross check. He's whacking him. Guys know he's there. And I think that mentality has to change. You can still be skilled and have the puck and make plays. You need that. But I think that aspect of the game has kind of gone away from the new age player a little bit, right? Just that kind of that nastiness and just that toughness it's not talking about fighting. Like you said, the fighting is part of the game, but you got to stand in there and show the willingness to play that way and be hard to play against. And I think you see that a little bit right now with the Flyers and some of their struggles a little bit too. It goes right from there all the way down, right? You got to kind of have that mentality, that pack mentality that we're Flyers and we're going to play that way and play hard.
Defend first, almost mentality.
Yeah, exactly. You got to. It's great when you have the puck. You got to be able to make plays. But how are we going to get the puck back? How are we going to play without the puck? And are we going to do it the right way? And are we going to play hard? Are we going to be strong in our structure and stuff? So we really try to work with the kids there. Obviously, all the skill stuff is there, and we want them when they get pucks, handling pucks and making plays. But without the puck, what are the details in the game that way with the young defenseman? Because you look at the next level, you really have to be able to defend and play both sides of the puck. So
right, and I guess not a whole lot's changed since since you were drafted. Because I'm thinking about your career, and you made the Minnesota Wild as a 19-year-old, but primarily because you bought into that, right? You had Jacques Lemaire as a coach, and you put up say pretty good numbers in juniors, but you knew you weren't going to be an offensive guy full time in the NHL. That you had to defend first, and then you make your 5-foot, 10-foot plays, and you're hard to play against.
Exactly.
It really hasn't changed a whole lot. Now the skill level of the defenseman has probably evolved tenfold, where you almost have to reel them in because they're so aggressively up ice and involved in the play.
For sure. I think that's the hardest part for kids making the jump. Like you said, in junior, a lot of the guys are their top players and they're putting up points and stuff. And when you get to the NHL, you really have to find that mold, what type of player you're going to be. And like you mentioned, I had Jacques in Minnesota, and we're an expansion team. expansion rules aren't what they are now, where you get a ton of good players. We had the bottom of the barrel from each team, right? So we really had to play a certain way to even be competitive. And he wanted the D to play super simple, and he kind of took a lot of the skill work out of the game for us, which is unfortunate to some degree. But like you said, I still learned how I had to play to be in the NHL, and it really, really helped me. The little details of the game, defending the right way, making good decisions with the puck, but really playing my play away from the, when you didn't have the puck and stuff. And I think that's big. And with any team, right? If a kid's got a ton of skill, he still has to be able to play without the puck and make sure he's winning those battles and competing hard and doing the right thing. So.
Yeah, well, it makes a ton of sense. So, well, good luck the rest of the way with that. I know it's it's a grind, especially when things aren't necessarily going the right way as a team. But I mean, there's always a ton of work to do, especially with the guys in Lehigh, and it's a process, right? As a lot of these guys don't realize how much of a process
for sure. Yeah. You helped their rouse and stuff with the coaching there and stuff. So it's fun. I mean, they got a great young group there. The Flyers have lots of good young prospects. There's tons of prospects playing down there. Lots of first year pros that are down there. 3 kids that would have been back in the Ontario Hockey League if it was going. So having those kids there playing and getting this experience around some older professional pros and seeing what it takes to play and the jump from junior to the American League. And I don't think kids realize how good the American Hockey League is, right? Until they get there. It's a good league, and there's good young players.
For most of them.
Exactly. They think, I'm in the minors. It's no good, right? But it's a great,
so negative.
Yeah, exactly. I got sent down. I'm playing the minors, but it is really a development league and a stepping stone for these guys. And they got some good young prospects, and it's fun. They got a good group down there. They're playing hard. It was a little frustrating having a shutdown for them now. All these teams and these guys, I don't know how they do it. They just gotta stay inside for 10 days, and they expect them to come back, and they have a couple days of practice. Now they're going to play 4 and 6 nights, and then you wonder why they're not playing well. So I mean, or if things don't go well for a guy, right? So a lot of things factor in that. I think with some of these situations, you gotta really dig a little bit deeper. So
yeah, I guess you'll see a lot of mental resilience or a lack thereof, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly.
See who's mentally evolved. Cool.
Yeah, it's like you said. I mean, each kid's going to be different. How they handle it. You got some that can handle it, some that probably can't handle it as well.
Yeah. I guess you see who the true pros are battling through adversity, right? It's a test. So backing up a little bit into, wrapping up with the Flyers, you played 3 years with the Flyers after a short stint in Columbus, which I didn't even realize you played 9 games in Columbus, but
I actually didn't either. I should have done that.
A little cup of coffee.
Yeah, funny story. Well, talking about us, Riley, like you said, small world, playing in junior hockey together. I know you said you're working back, but like you and Scotty Hartnell coming in there as young guys, and now we're all in the Philly area. So that when you talk about Columbus, I was traded to Columbus. My contract was done in Edmonton. I traded at the deadline, and then that summer's when the Flyers traded Hartsey to Columbus, and then I signed in Philly. So we kind of we missed each other kind of there and flip flopped teams or whatever. So it was a little disappointing. It would have been nice to play with them at the NHL level, but like you said, it's kind of a small world. We're all in the same area here, and ties to the Flyers and stuff from playing junior hockey together. So it's a small world, and it's nice to be around familiar faces. So
yeah, no kidding.
Schultz, I got to ask you, I know, like you said, I know you played with those two. What was Rig Aurelia like there?
You talk about having skill and stuff. I mean, he had great skill, and same with Hartsey. I mean, obviously Hartsey put up good numbers in the NHL and was a great all around player. But Cote in junior was a skilled player and played hard. We had Kevin McClellan as our coach there, junior old tough guy from the Oilers, and he really I think turned a lot of guys, right? Like he really demanded you to play hard, and he wanted the fighting and he wanted the toughness. That was the way he played and the way he was, right? And he had us as young kids just scared the crap out of us. We were so nervous going into that rink. My God, walking. We had to walk through the coach's office in from school and stuff. If you skip school or something happened, I mean, we were terrified. So, but he was. I mean, he demanded a lot from the guys, but we, like you said, he played and we respected him and we worked hard, and I think really helped a lot of like me, Scotty, and Riles with our careers and learning as a young player in junior hockey as a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, what it took. But yeah, we would stop the bus on the side of the road and we would have subs He would be having smokes outside. He was
eating the cigarettes. Remember that?
Oh my gosh, yeah, he was nuts. So
it
was crazy.
Nuts.
We did, yeah, but so but he was, like I said, we were all 3 16-year-olds there playing junior hockey, coming from me and Scotty Lloydminster on the Alberta side, Coates from Manitoba, and myself from Saskatchewan, kind of all young guys coming in there and stuff. So we had a lot of fun, and it was good. I would say Hartsey was probably the cockiest junior guy there. They would tape his clothes in a ball after every practice. They would tuck it away somewhere because he was chirping off to the older guys. And and Riley me and Cote would just keep our mouth shut and go about and do our business. And there's Scotty beaking off.
He loved it. I think Hartsey loved it. He did it. He knew he was going to get it, and then he just loved it. Yeah, it was funny.
So
no,
I can imagine.
Yeah, it was a good time.
No, for sure.
Kevin McClellan was, I say he's still got my confidence in his back pocket somewhat. He terrified me, this guy. He's probably the primary reason, or at least planted the seed for me to actually take on the role of say, the tough guy, the enforcer. And it's almost to a fault, because I'm thinking of a Big Mac. This guy's got 4 Stanley Cup rings, one of the toughest dudes. And, the way he treated, the locker room sometimes, I was like, this guy's an animal. But
that's what I mean.
He was
the
reason that I kind of evolved into that for sure. To a fault,
And like you said, we had Friggy there. We had McIntyre. We had Moraski. Was he
McIntyre too?
Oh yeah, Stevie Mac.
Oh my gosh, that was our first year. Our first year in junior hockey, they still had the full ice warm up. So the visiting team would go on first, because there were so many brawls the year before, fights and stuff.
They had this.
So you would come on and have a full ice warm up, the full ice horseshoe.
Oh yeah,
and you would warm up as one team. You would go off and have an hour break. The other team would warm up, and then you'd have to come out and start the game, because it was the wild west. We were kind of at the tail end of that.
Yeah, it was. That was last year, I think, right? They did that.
Exactly, and then it kind of went back to more the 2 teams on the ice, but it was crazy.
Schultz, could you imagine just jumping forward to Jakey Voracek? Could you imagine if he had to go out and warm up and sit for 45 minutes and then try to go play? Yeah. What the fuck is going on here?
Yeah,
this is a joke.
This
is a joke.
Yeah,
it was.
He probably wouldn't even go warm up, Jakey.
No, it didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense. It was,
really,
ridiculous.
For anyone, it probably didn't. But Jakey would be a guy that.
For sure. Yeah,
we kid around. No, because we kid around about him. I said to Jakey all the time, I'm like, why don't you just stretch? At night a little bit, start stretching, and you'll get more limber, because Jakey barely touches toes, and he's like, I'll get hurt if I fucking do that. I can't do that. I like my muscles tight, He
likes being tight. He thinks he's more explosive and has a little more jump, right? So
tough to argue with a guy when he gets going.
Sure. Exactly. So and the 1 year I was there with him, I think he was whatever he was in league scoring that year, he was one of the top guys, right? So he has that ability. He's still putting up numbers, so it's he's fun to watch.
We were kind of talking a little bit about the Flyers a couple of weeks ago, and with Jakey, he's always said, and you played with Jake, but he's one of those guys that needs more minutes to get his game going, and to people are like, well, he's not scoring. Well, if you look, he only played 14 minutes, 13 minutes. And he makes $8 million. He's probably should be, but I know sometimes it just works out that way. But Jake's one of those guys that if he's playing and he gets into the game, he gets going. He's pretty tough to stop, he's just a big, strong man. But.
Yeah, I've played with lots of, I had Sean Horkoff in Edmonton, where some of these people are hard on guys that are making this money. But to me, Jake earned it, right? He earned his contract that he got. A lot of these young guys are playing a couple years. They're not even out of their entry level deal. And you're giving them term, with the way that the landscape is now. When we first came in, you had to play, weren't a free agent until you were 30, and you really had to earn your money. Now the kind of landscape has changed. So, and I know people are hard on these guys when they see what money they're making, but they've done it for a long time. And essentially, in my mind, they've earned that money. They put up the numbers, they put in the work and stuff. And obviously everyone at the end of their career is going to have a little bit of a drop off or whatever. It happens, right? But I still think I look at the Flyers, their top scorers, those guys, they're up there every year. And like you said, the last few games when they've had G and Coots and Jake together, and those guys are playing lots. You see, they're creating, and they still, are creating a lot of offense and and playing hard. So it's, I think those guys bring a lot to that team. So
one of my favorite things that got, the armchair quarterback, armchair GM, whatever you want to call it, in my men's league, the guys will be like, well, he makes too much money. I'm like, well, would you have said no? Yeah. If your boss offers you a raise tomorrow, you're going to say no.
And at that time, I mean, you can look back and you can say whoever signed, if it was Hexy who signed him or whoever it was at that time, he was one of the top. He was the top guys, and it's like you have to build your team. And he's, to me, in my mind, he's not an old guy now. It's not like he's 37, 38 right now. You know what I mean? He's got a lot of good hockey left in him. And these guys now, as soon as you hit 30, they think like you're done, right? So it's crazy how the mindsets change. So it's a little different mentality, but I mean, these guys can still play and put up the numbers. So
no, I agree. I mean, and again, this year, I know it's a short year, but no one's really lighting it up too much, but him and Reamer, I think the top 2 scorers on the team, Jake's still at this point. And, but speaking of longevity real quick, just wanted to, what do you guys think about Marleau here tonight, breaking Gordie Howe? There's no way anyone ever thought this would happen. I mean, it's insane, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. It's great. It's really remarkable for someone in this like generation to play that, and the amount that he's played and taking care of himself and is still like effective, right? I haven't watched a ton this year. As he can, like you said, skating is a big part of it, but I think he's probably, anything I've heard, just an incredible guy, incredible teammate, and like you said, the ability he's had obviously to continue to play. But like you said, the skating is a big factor why I think a lot of guys that drops off, but he can still keep up and still has that pace to his game. So it's pretty remarkable to watch someone. And like you said, probably nobody thought that would ever happen, right? So it's incredible.
It's a lot of games.
You played 1,069, which is incredible. Imagine throwing another 700 in there, whatever exactly the number. Right. But I mean,
I can't imagine his body, like the fact that what he's put his body through, and I don't even know how many like San Jose was in the playoffs. He's probably got how many? Couple hundred playoff games. I mean, he's had a lot of playoff success. He hasn't won, but so I mean, he's played a lot. So it's pretty impressive. So
crazy.
I was going to say, just building off that. I mean, I don't know. You probably don't know what like his off ice protocols are, but like I think your first 5 or 6 years in Minnesota, you dressed almost every game. Being a durable guy. I mean, the key to longevity in this league or any professional league is to stay injury free as much as possible. I mean, was there anything specific that you were doing? I know you always took care of yourself, but anything like absolutely specific? I know we'll talk about Jimmy Dow, but some of these older guys that they kind of figured out some, just different ways to be mindful of their body to kind of like almost like less is more as they age and being able to recover quicker.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, you see some of these guys, and you mentioned Jimmy Dowd, who I came in with when I was a rookie in Minnesota, and you really try to watch these older players and the amount of time they put in, and they have to, like you mentioned, with their body. When they get older, you have to do a lot more. But as a young guy, if you can incorporate that sooner and make sure you're doing the stretching, you're doing the right stuff, going onto the ice after practice, after games, and really taking care of yourself is definitely very, very helpful. But I think most of it is, just being lucky too, and a little bit fortunate that you see someone like Sam Moran with the knee injuries and stuff. Some of that stuff you know what I mean? That's nothing that he did wrong. It's just he had a bad luck and a couple hits or whatever it may be that happened. It's just like, so a lot of that is you have to be fortunate. You kind of can avoid those major injuries and things that those guys go through. You look at Wade Allison now; he's had a couple injuries as a young guy coming up. You've had to battle through. So it's just some of these guys, you got to battle through injuries. And I was fortunate that I didn't have like a major injury with a knee or a shoulder that a lot of guys get. And it's a freak or just part of playing the game. Right. So, but like you said, a lot of the other stuff with hips and growings and different things like that, I think you can really strengthen that and make sure you're taking care of your body and doing the right things, off the ice and in the off season, really, putting in the work and training properly and making sure you're prepared for the season. So.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, Schultz, you're fit even now, like very fit guy. And you're always really fit when you played, especially when you're here. But I have to say, Riles weighed about 225 when he was playing. He weighs like 160 now. He eats like
high cheekbones.
Oh, I know. Yeah, exactly.
He eats lettuce.
He's so healthy now.
Flour.
Exactly.
He doesn't
Rabbit
really eat food.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it food, but
yeah.
one of the things I have to say about Schultz, I used to laugh, and you probably remember this. Like once in a while, we would get out, the boys, everybody we'd get to go do something, nothing crazy, but when everyone was together, Schultz was like ripped, jacked. The guy's got no fat on him, and he's been playing so long. And every time we went and we were having beers, this guy had a big cheeseburger, fries, cheese fries. And then he'd end up getting something else. I'm like, dude, he would be like, oh man, like one day, that's all I'm doing. And
you got to treat yourself.
Yeah. That's what he would say.
Exactly.
You got to treat yourself. And I'm like, I really want a cheeseburger. I'm the equivalent. I try not to look like a lot of guys do, try to keep it within reason here.
Yeah.
But I was telling Riles that I said, every time we got a chance, it was like Schultz is like almost like he couldn't get it at home. I'm not saying
that was his
exactly.
But it's like
that was his escape.
Schultz, Riles brings the girls, his daughters over once in a while, and he doesn't like giving them sugar because they get wild because he doesn't
sneak him some sugar.
You guys want cupcakes? It's like
get them all fired up, so they gotta drive out home and try to kill each other in the backseat.
It was like you said, going on the road and having those meals and stuff. Yeah, but you're playing. You said you're playing. You're burning a lot of calories. You definitely.
Exactly.
When you're done player, you got to play and you got to change it a little bit. But yeah, so it was. Those are times you miss from playing for sure.
You're sweat. You're one of the most guys.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Top sweaters I ever have. A few that that are all the guys sweat, obviously, but I mean you were. Like one of the biggest sweaters ever, man. Like just leaking, leaking the whole time. Man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But that's why I think you could eat those burgers because you worked
exactly
it all out
right.
anyway.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. And playing with the Shen brothers, they used to love getting the dessert platter at the end.
So
you had to get every dessert on the menu because their main reasoning was because then no one knew how much they ate of the dessert. If you get a platter, so you can pick away. So they know they got a dessert platter. No one knows how much you ate. So. That was the key. So
you gonna muck some dessert, Schultz?
Exactly.
What are you mucking?
I've never played with anyone who was so concerned about what you're gonna have for dinner. Like before practice even started at 11 a.m. They were concerned where we're gonna go for dinner, what we're gonna eat. So fun. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys, Schultz, you probably saw that picture. I have it somewhere of those two in there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
9 and 8 or 9 and 7.
Yeah, incredible.
You can tell it's them because we know them in their face.
Yeah.
But Riles, they are like Pillsbury Doughboys. I mean, they are
hilarious.
Just in their hockey gear. I don't know how their helmets fit their heads.
I know, incredible.
Both things. It's a hilarious picture. We got to find that. It was pretty good.
Yeah, two of the best guys around. So
yeah,
it's fun
sure.
Fun to play with those guys. So
100%.
I'd love to see that. I was going to say,
it's a great pick. Oh boy.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah. I think Braden put it out being like, if this guy can play in the NHL, anyone can.
That's right.
That
he
was
did.
His thing behind,
That's right.
That was his post, I think. So it was incredible. Yeah.
Oh man.
He came a long way. So for sure.
And you know what's great too? We always say, Schultz, when we get guys on that played here or played with Riley or whatever, and they won the cup. It was great to see both those guys get to do that.
For sure.
That was awesome, man. It makes your day to see, buddies like that deserve it. Are good people, and
like you said, for Chief to be there and have Braden on the team and stuff, and then like you said, for his brother, for Luke to get it the next year is pretty cool, pretty special. Yeah. So like you said, it's always fun watching and when guys and guys that have put in the work and they get rewarded. So it's pretty special. So
for sure. I was gonna say, going back to your I guess it would have been your first training camp in Minnesota after you were drafted. I landed up going to Minnesota Wild training camp actually with you as a free agent. I was talking to Nasty before we got on here. I have like a memory etched in my mind. But before I essentially decided to take on the role of being a fighter and fully engaged in that and mentally prepared for that, I was going to training camp just to participate in an NHL training camp and
skill it up.
Just skill it up.
Exactly.
Get on the forecheck and and get the mitts going. But I landed up getting a little, corner skirmish. I'm not sure if you were on the ice or not, or in that game, but I landed up, buckets off with Garrett Burnett. And for the guys that don't know Garrett Burnett, I mean, he was the biggest, meanest, baddest looking guy you could find floating around an ice rink.
He looked mean, didn't he?
He looked mean and
such
big
a nice guy, but
and I wasn't fully committed yet. So we were like in the moment where we were like fighting for the puck and our helmets, I'm like pushing and shoving. I realized it's this massive beast, and I'm, I know I'm going back to junior in 48 hours and whatnot, but I was like, is this what I have to do now?
Did you guys go then?
No, we didn't. No, I was like, nah, man, I'm not getting my face pounded.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It was the one time Riley. It was the one time Riles thought better of dropping.
Exactly. That was smart for sure.
Oh my God. Is that unnecessary?
He had probably just eaten a bottle of Flexol right before that happened too, because he came my second year when I was with the Phantoms in the American League. We fortunate enough to win the Calder Cup, and we signed Bernie, and I had some guys calling me saying, "Oh, wait till you get a little of this beauty. Great guy, just he's in left field though, man. No glove, And he came and he was awesome, and he tried to he wanted to fight every game.
Everybody.
That's all he wanted to do. And I mean, it was back
what
then.
What else was there to do?
Well, exactly. You're talking about
not play hockey.
97, 98, but this guy's in there taking power bars and dipping them into into Flexol and eating it. And the boys are like, "What the fuck's wrong?
This guy's nuts.
Like, what's wrong with him?"
Trying to kill himself?
He didn't. He got to playing games. Like he played quite a few
games. He played a full
games.
season in Anaheim, didn't he?
He did. After that, he did.
After that, yeah.
And where I think, we were just talking about Bernie Schultz. I ran into him a couple of years ago in Vegas. He's living out in Vegas, and but I think he made his biggest mistake was he had that year. He fought all the big boys. He did well.
He did.
And then the lockout, he wouldn't go play. He wouldn't go. Well, they said go play in Cincy, I think was their team. Okay. And he thought, well, I've been in the show a year. I don't want to go there and have to do that.
Yeah.
Next thing you know,
that was it.
Bad decision.
It was really, because you know what? They probably, if he goes and just does what he's been doing, he's probably back there, right? Because the boys seem to like him. From what we heard from the guys I knew, the trainers and the equipment guys, they were like, oh, the boys love him. He fights all the time, all the big boys and stuff like that. But anyway, he was a treat every day to have. It was always something good coming out of or bad coming out of his mouth. But he was actually fun to have around. He was a good teammate for the boys. And we had a this thing going on with the Albany River Rats. They had a really tough team, and the Phantoms did as well. And it was almost like the same damn thing that happened with Montreal and the Flyers, where they were shooting the puck in the net and the guys were waiting. Well, Bernie wasn't in the lineup, but you could send like 23 guys out for warm up. And then we had this other kid, Andre Payette, who's a tough guy. He just retired a couple of years ago. A guy fought till he was about 38 years old. Yeah. Over in that crazy league. I don't know what it's called, league, but Bernie and I'll never forget. They're like, we're gonna go out there when it's Lakovic, all these guys. Like I think Sasha Lakovic was there, but anyway, they had a bunch of tough guys. So he's kind of hiding, waiting, and the guy comes out. Well, there's like 8 of their guys, and Pie's like, I'm gonna go with you, Andre Payette. So Bernie goes flying on the ice, and Pie turns around, runs back to the locker room. And Bernie's out there with 8 guys, and he ends up fighting. I think he fought a Skurlak.
Rob Skurlak.
Yeah, I think it was Rob Skurlak, but it was
Skurlak.
Bernie threw the first punch, and he fell, but there were no linesmen to jump in, and he got up, and he actually pounded it. He was a really good fight, but Pie leaves the poor guy, and then guys came out, and it was both teams were out there. It wasn't as crazy as the Montreal thing, but anyway, it was just Bernie. He was a treat.
Like you said, those tough guys back in the those are some big bodies, some big heavyweights. They weren't like undersized guys. They were some big monster guys that could fight, and it was scary. You'd watch, like you said, they knew they had to fight each other, and it was scary, man. Those were some scary. Bad, that could throw, right? So it was
we
pretty impressive.
It was. We talked about it with like even Riley. Like Riley was considered a heavyweight, but obviously an undersized heavyweight. He's
For
fighting
sure.
guys and did unbelievable fighting all those guys. But we always kid around, and even Chief Craig Brewery was on with us. And knowing Chief for so long, he's like, try taking a nap in the afternoon when you're playing Detroit, and
for sure,
you know you're going to fight Probert, and then you go to the box and Joey Kosher comes and hits a glass, goes, I'm next. He's like,
oh my
God.
Try
tough
having
way
a
to
nap.
make a living. Yeah, exactly.
And even in Riggs here, we're going into Pittsburgh, and he's going to fight LaRock, and he knows it. I mean, I don't even know how you could do that. I mean,
I don't either. Yeah, it's impressive. Yeah, exactly. You guys who did that, it's crazy to do that. Like you said, going into a game knowing you got to fight that guy, right? And he's trying to knock your head off, right? Like that's not pretty tough to put your head on the pillow knowing that's coming, right? So, and you pretty much got to be perfect in the fight, right? Like you can't give up any, like, you know what I mean? They can one punch in that, right? So it's those guys really lay themselves on the line, right? So it's crazy to think that. So.
Schultz
scored 50, I would have.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right. Would have got paid a lot.
Do what you got to do.
You
know, it's like you just got to grind it out, I guess.
For sure. Yeah.
Hey, Schultz, Riley scored his one goal on Carey Price, and he buried it too.
The best goalie in the world, man.
He snapped.
That's all you needed. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we were down 4-1 or 5-1 or something. That might have been the only goal of the game, but it was actually a great goal. It sucked because he couldn't even. I'm sure you enjoyed it inside, but like, you're losing. It's just,
No, I lined up and tried to fight Steve Beijing on the next faceoff because I was going after him earlier in the game. So I was like, my job's not done yet.
Yeah, not done.
That's it.
But have you noticed, Schultz, like the numbers, it's funny, and we've been trying to kind of figure it out, but it seems like, it is for sure. The numbers are up in the tilts. This year.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like you said, it's been fun to watch with the rivalries and having the games and stuff. So like you said, obviously it'll be nice to get, a few more teams, or how it was where I don't think you necessarily need to play everybody home and home, right? But or to get these a little more of a baseball style, right? Where you go in and play 2 games, I think is great on a weekend, limit the team's travel a little bit, right? Especially some of the Western Conference teams. I know from playing in Edmonton and Mini, the travel is quite a bit harder than out east here for the Flyers to be able to bus and train and have short flights for some of these Eastern Conference teams is nice, but still to be able to go into a city and stay for a few days and play back to back or have a day in between games, I think. And like you said, it adds that level of animosity with these teams, and it's fun to watch, right? And I think down the stretch here, when you see some of these teams fighting to get in and stuff, will be even more so, right? Leading into the playoffs, and hopefully it should have some good rounds in the playoffs too, with these teams matching up against each other and having that from the regular season. So
I can't speak from your guy. You guys played the game, I didn't, but being in the league, I know I used to love the playoffs. Obviously everyone loves the playoffs, but I mean, as far as not having to move, like, how it is, it's just like traveling rock show. Like, we get there the day before, yes, but it's 5:00. You set up, come in next day, and then boom, you're gone. It's so nice to be able to not have to pack up and leave, and you can kind of set things up. Which we did anyway.
Yeah, think about that from a trainer stand. You make a great point there, right? Those guys, the work you guys put in and stuff, and for one night, like you said, traveling in after a game, playing the next night, and then out to another city or back home, and you're back and forth from a practice rink. I mean, it's a lot of extra work that you don't necessarily have to do, right? If you can incorporate some of this moving forward, would be good for sure.
Yeah, it would be, I think. But like you said, it is better when they're playing more teams. It kind of, you play the Penguins 8 times. Like, it has, it does make, like you said, the animosity, but maybe there's a way to do it. The league figures out a way to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
I was going to ask you, Schultz, you brought up Jimmy Dowd earlier, and I wanted to bring up Jimmy because he was my centerman my first year with the Flyers, and I hit it off.
Junkyard dog.
I still keep in contact with him. He's an awesome dude, and I learned a lot from him. We talked about a few of the things, like just like learning how to take care of yourself, and I think he broke his back or something when he was like 31, and played 9 more years or something. But he's just like such a character. We've shared a couple of stories, junkyard stories about how OCD he was with his laundry and whatnot. But do you have any good junkyard stories?
Well, actually, he was my first ever road trip was with Minnesota. We went into Vancouver and he was my roommate. So I went out for dinner with him to Corderos or whatever that is, right on the water there by the Weston Bay Shore, or whatever. So just me and him, table for two, a little dinner, and I'm an 18-year-old. It was exhibition game, so I think I was 18 only. And however, I'm not sure what Jimmy was, maybe 30 or whatever he would have been. But and I couldn't believe how much he ate. Like, it was incredible. And he's like, kid, if you eat good food, you can eat a lot. And he just, like, for a thin guy, he was like just hammering back the food, right? And like you said, he took care of himself. He had the special water or whatever. He was in like some kind of water he would drink and stuff. Like, he would never drink tap water or anything, but he was great. And like I said, as a young guy, 18, 19-year-old kid, and having him, Andrew Burnett, Dwayne Rolls, and some of these older guys that we had on the team that were really awesome character guys. And like you said, you talk about the experiences you have and working in player development. Now, that's essentially what these older guys are. And even now, what older guys have to be for these young guys, right? Really a good example. And Jimmy was great for that. But like you said, he was awesome. We always teased him. He had the pants hiked up, and like you said, he was so meticulous with his equipment and his old little shouldies that he had on. Like, it was crazy. And he used to wind it up in the offensive zone. He would do like a couple laps. We used to joke, see if he could get around 3 times in the offensive zone without moving the puck. Like, he was awesome. So it's been fun actually to see, because he's got both his boys are playing now. One's at Penn State. The other one just got called up to the development program from the USHL team he was on. So it's fun to see that. And I know his boys were obviously really young when I was there playing with them, but to see them, and obviously the work he's put in with them and those guys playing and stuff now too is pretty cool. So
he's an awesome guy, man.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed him when he was here with us. He was fun to have around, man. He kept it light, but it also knew when to, like you said, Schultz, like he was a leader. Like, he had been a captain, and he always seemed to just say the right thing on the bench. You know, when he was with us anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
He was just that guy, and he kept it light, but he also was serious when it was, somebody needed to kick in the pants a little bit. But I've never seen a guy selly so hard. Except for Ovi when he was younger. But I remember Jimmy get his first goal as a Flyer. You thought he just got game 7, Stanley. Just giving her.
He's hemmed on the fourth line with guys like me. What do you expect? I'd be happy too.
He was pumped.
Matt Johnson. I mean, some of the winger tough guys he had throughout his career. He talked about. He's pretty funny. By,
that I don't know what year the flyby started when you boys would go by the bench,
but he might have started it. Maybe
he might have, because he came by as fast as he could.
We got to look back.
Figure
out who started it.
Oh, what a beauty, man! He was great.
You talk about these older guys in leadership roles, and just how just leaders kind of lead the way, and kind of like player development within the locker room. I look at the current Flyers right now. I don't know if you can talk to maybe what your opinion might be, but like I just see like maybe a lack of core leadership, and I'm not singling out anybody, and just like saying like, look at the teams that have historically won Stanley Cups.
Yeah,
for the Pittsburgh Penguins, Chicago Blackhawks, LA Kings, and Detroit Red Wings back in the day. Like, you look at the leadership core, and it's like 7, 8, 9 legitimate leader type guys on these teams. What are you seeing as far as that goes within the Flyers and then their season this year?
Yeah, it's tough. Like, I mean, I've not around the team this year, like with COVID and things like that, and the testing and stuff. So we're kind of just down in Lehigh and stuff. But I know from my experiences, playing on the Flyers and G being the captain and stuff, he works his ass off, and in practice and stuff, he's a super competitive guy, and he's always working hard. And I think he's a tremendous leader, and he has that, and he hates to lose. Like, if he doesn't, he wants to arm wrestle you. He wants, like, anything he does or wants to do, he doesn't want to lose. Right. And he's play him in golf, you do anything with him, playing cards, like, he is so competitive. And I think you need that from your leadership group. But like you said, the young guys, they look up to those guys, and you have to have that. Your best players on your team have to be committed and have to be doing it the right way. And those guys, Joel Farabee, these young guys that are on the team, they're going to look to those guys. They're going to say, what's G doing? Is he in the weight room? Is he doing this? Is he taking care of himself? Is he first guy on the ice? Everything it's different this year with the schedule and the practice time and things like that is a little bit different. But like you mentioned, that's those teams that win, the veteran guys, the leaders, those young guys, everyone's got to got to lean on those guys and look at those guys to lead the way, right? So I know from my experience, I haven't been around the team this year, to know exactly what's going on, but that definitely has to come from those guys. And like you said, you talk about Pittsburgh, these young guys or guys that come in, they look to Crosby, they look to these guys, or Boston looks to Bergeron and these guys that have been there and the leaders on those teams. So it's the same for every team, and the young guys have to buy in. They got to come in and have a mindset where they don't think they're better than those older guys and don't have that respect factor, where I think some of these guys, as young players come in, they think it's their team now or whatever, right? You still have to have that respect factor, and it has to work on both sides, right? But you make a good point. Those guys have to lead by example and make sure they're doing the right thing, so those young guys follow suit. And it's details off the ice and it's details during the game, right? Having the right habits and playing the right way. So
yeah. And then, but like, do you think there's enough core leadership though? Like, I know you mentioned G, and I love G, and I 100% agree with you. Like, but you look at these teams, like they have like a surrounding cast, of say leaders. Like look at when Carter and Richards go to LA, you know what I mean? And they're like third tier, second, third tier guys to like the core group of leaders already. I'm just looking at, that leadership group, and I just like, Nasty and I were talking, and like Niskanen's, a jack of all trade, master of none type of guy, but I would say he's like a glue guy, like a leader guy, sure. like I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like how many.
A lot of these teams they look to guys who have won, right? Niskanen, when he was in here, he had won. You see Braun right now but he's had experience and playoff success. I think that factors in. The other night watching the broadcast when they're playing the Capitals, I think the Capitals are one of the oldest team with like 13 guys over 30, right? So they got and they've won now, and so they have that different mindset. So I think that really factors in with older guys if they've had that success and have that mentality. I think Coots is a tremendous leader, like another guy that I played with there. Some of the other guys I can't. Jake, you know what I mean? He plays hard, and I think he wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's committed and he's there, and guys got to respond to that too, you know what I mean? So some of these other young guys, Provy coming up is a young guy that they look to for leadership and stuff now, and these guys on the back end, right? So they're a young team. You look, and I think their average age is around 26, right? So these guys are young guys, so they have to kind of assume some of that leadership role too, right? So, and I think watching Coots, he plays the right way. He's in there. He's another great guy that these young guys have to lean on, right? So it's, like I said, it works both ways. You need those guys doing it, but the young guys have to respond and really buy into what these guys are doing. And it comes down from the top, from the coaches and what they're preaching, and having the top guys do it, and the young guys that are coming up kind of follow suit. So it's, like I said, it's been a challenging year, and I know everyone says that, and and every team's going through it. But I think ultimately the teams that have had the pause and have the shutdowns, it's been even harder with their schedule condensed and no practice time to work on certain things. You think some of these guys like Oscar and Nolan Patrick, some of these guys that things haven't gone their way this year, it's been challenging for these guys, but they haven't had a regular training camp. They haven't had that time, the practice time. If they have something that's not going well in their game, they can't, reset. They tried to do that with Carter this year, kind of a reset. We'll let them practice a little bit to try to get them, because they haven't had that, that availability, that time to do that, right? I think some of these guys too, like, would really benefit from that. And I think you'll see that. I mean, these guys are good young players that are going to get back on track and are going to have good careers, right? I think you got to look big picture and realize these guys are going through a lot of different things right now, and they got some good young players there that'll respond and be where you think they should be, right? So
I agree with you, Schultz. One of the things that bugged me this year about not like with the league, but I didn't think it was fair when 5 of your top 6 forwards catch COVID.
Yeah.
Now, they did miss a game, maybe 2, like as far as they canceled the 1 game, I think, right? And then maybe they canceled 2, but then they made the guys play where they've let these other teams take the games off, and they were missing 2 guys, maybe 3. You're talking about 5 of your top 6. To me, not making excuses for the boys, because you got to play. Yeah. I mean, but that's when everything kind of started sliding on them. Not that they were on fire, but they were. They weren't in a downward.
They were spiral. They were still in the mix. Like you said, they weren't. Maybe their game wasn't where it needed to be, but they were still in a playoff spot.
Definitely.
You know what I mean. And you still had time to iron out the little details and kind of stay in the mix, right? And I think, like maybe it had something to do with it being the outdoor game and wanting them to be a part of that, right?
Yeah.
So that might have maybe factored in a little bit why they kind of made them come back sooner and play, even though they had a lot of their top guys out. But like you said, it wasn't probably, like you said, to a certain word, fair to have them come back and have to do that, like you said. But a lot of teams had to respond, but they did have a lot of their top guys out, right? Which hurt for sure. So
we've actually said before, like, so what do? You start the playoffs in a few weeks here, and I don't know, one of the teams, 4 guys get it.
Yeah,
you're gonna make. I mean, what do you do if you're the league? I mean, you want it to be as great as possible for the playoffs, because it's such a special time for everyone. I hope that doesn't happen. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but God, what a shame if it does,
hopefully right now. I know, like, the Phantoms players today, I think they put something out where they were able to get their vaccinations now that it's kind of opened up to the kind of wide spectrum, where everyone over 16 has it's accessible to get it. So hopefully a lot of these teams, or the guys have got it. Maybe you can try to, that'll help hopefully to make sure that, like you said, you don't have these cases and stuff where teams have to shut down or guys have to miss time or whatever, right? Like you said, it's going to be a mess if something like that happens in the playoffs and you're trying to get series done, or one series is over and the other one is shut down. Like, I don't know how that's all gonna work. Obviously they've kind of, thought that through, but I guess hopefully none of that will happen. But
I hope not. I hope not. And you know what else, Schultz, I wanted to ask you, I know we're cranking a lot of your time here, but speaking about Niski, like, he came in, I knew Niski a little bit from USA Hockey. I'd had him, really quiet guy. He's funny. Like we've said before, like, he's one of those guys, you send him this long text asking him all this stuff, and then his response is, okay. Or yes. I'm like, I asked you 3 questions, bro. Like, but anyway, Niski, great guy, man. I think took everyone by surprise, obviously. Huge curveball, maybe a knuckleball even. It was so
I think
big.
it's hard. Like I think guys, it's hard, but like you said, he was just, a block over from me here in Hatfield, and lived, and has a young family, young kids and stuff. And it was hard for those guys with the shutdown. They have to go back with their family, and then you got to come into the bubble. And then with the uncertainty this year and stuff, and having a young family and maybe not being around them. So it's hard. I think those guys, a lot factors into their decisions, and it hurt the Flyers for sure, because he's was a huge part of their team last year, right? So, but another breath, you kind of respect that he did it on his terms and stuff. Right. I think with him having won in Washington and stuff, that probably factored in too. Obviously, he left some money on the table, which is hard. Probably, I think anyone that played your career short, if you try to earn as much as you can while you can, right? But I think it's. True. I only heard good things about him. And I mean, you guys maybe heard that story when he first started in Dallas, and he came up, I think he had a Pontiac Sunfire or something he was driving, and the boys were teasing him, like Marty Turco was there and Zubov and these guys. They had some big money guys. And I think they went on a road trip, and Turco took it into a body shop and had it painted Dallas Stars, had Niskanen 2 on it and a big racing stripe and stuff. So I guess he drove it around for the rest of the year. No way. Finally, at the end of the year, they auctioned it off. Whatever. You guys have probably heard the story. Yeah. He's just like an awesome
That's
guy.
So cool.
He is.
I have not heard that one.
Yeah.
He's a really good guy, and he, like you said, Schultz, he was one of those guys that, like, not the most vocal, but he seemed like I was only there half the year last year with him, but man, when he spoke, people everyone listened, and he was always the right time. But the main thing I wanted to ask you about that is, can one guy just make that much of a difference? You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think part of this thing this year is, you see with Ivan, with Provy, right? Like, he was such a good partner for Provy, for a young guy, like like you said, for his calmness, and how you talked about him. That's exactly what like a good young player needs, right? They need to know that they have that reliable partner, and they just they had that chemistry, the two of them together, and they just played so well together, right? And Provy could rely on him, and Niski kind of had that experience, right? And that kind of leadership and calmness to his game, right? And I think that really helped Provy, and obviously Provy's their top defenseman, right? So to have that partner, I think was perfect, right? And it just kind of everything worked, and that's been really hard for them to try to find that same fit, right? So it's, and like I said, a lot of it is Niski had played on good teams. He had won. He had that kind of like, he knew what it took. And like you said, he knew when to speak up. He knew the right things to say and at the right times. And it's hard when you have guys like that and then have that experience and have won. It's tough to replace those guys, right? So
yeah,
definitely it hurt for sure in a lot of different aspects, probably, right? Like you said, behind the scenes that people don't know about,
yeah,
and
exactly.
what people can see on the ice too. So for sure,
I think Niski was so it was funny, like during the games, and thing that I think a lot of people don't know about him, he's a mean bastard. Like he
can fight too. Yeah,
he could fight. He could fight, but the stick, like, and if someone did something, you hear him like he's hey, he's talking to guys. But I think he brought a calmness also. I think he helped with Phil Myers and Sandy,
for sure,
the young guys, even though he wasn't playing with them, him talking, and all that stuff, which, you did a lot of the same too, Schultz, when you were with the Flyers here, like helping out with these young guys. But I think that's the big, because people always ask me, I don't know, but I know what he did. And I think his calmness and, like you said, his winning and just being around that,
for sure.
Just
and like you said,
so
you guys, like guys as a training staff, they see that too, that a lot of people don't see, right? How the guys interact and how they are in between periods and stuff when the coaches aren't there, when like there's a lot of things that go on that a lot of people don't see. So you would have seen a lot of that stuff firsthand, right? So it's like, and that is big. And like you said, it's not just his partner with Provy, but those other guys probably really relied on him, and he was probably there, like you said, just to calm those guys and be there for him, kind of as a mentor, right? Which as a young player, from coming in or when you get older, that those guys are huge in those roles, right? So
and then Schultz, so like, Niski doesn't come back, and it creates a space on defense. And I think somewhere along the summertime, the Flyers, I think Alain Vigneault called Sam Morin in the office and basically told him, you're going to training camp as a forward, which I don't know if it worked out or not. I mean, it didn't work out in the sense that he didn't stick around there. I'm not sure if it was a great experiment or not, but he landed up back on defense, back in Lehigh. And apparently, from what I understood, it was looking really good. And, and then he gets kind of the call up, and, it kind of earns his spot back, and this guy's had, like, you could talk to it because you've been working with him for a couple of years. And actually, back when I was coaching the Phantoms, worked with him for several years. And you talk about like a guy that you just root for because of his energy and his, his commitment to the game, and just had some bad bounces. But can you, talk to maybe the adversity that Sam's gone through, and then what you see from a coach's perspective and how he's kind of evolved?
Yeah, I think, like you said, what you talked about there, I think that was part of the reason the Flyers, they wanted to have him be a part of the team, right? And like you said, all the stuff that he's gone through, and he really deserved a shot, right? And with the guys that they had on D, they thought maybe him coming back, you could kind of work him in and have that mindset, the mentality that he has with physicality and toughness and stuff, and bring that to the lineup. But it's tough at that age and at that to change positions and you know what I mean? It's a different animal when you're playing D and everything's in front of you, and now all of a sudden you're on the wing and you got forwards coming back on you, you got a D stepping down on you. There's a lot of different plays that if you haven't played your whole life, it's a lot of big changes, right? So I think, but when he got down to Lehigh, they needed a defenseman. They needed to play him down as a defenseman there. They had some injuries and stuff, and he played great. And he brought that element. He played hard. He played nasty, and he's a big, strong kid, right? And he can skate, and just like you said, those guys, if you keep it simple and make good decisions with the puck, you saw the timely goal he scored with the Flyers. He's stepping up. He can shoot the puck and stuff. I mean, he adds a different element that the team doesn't have, right? And I think it's nice to see him out there getting a shot to play. And I think as a young guy, like you said, he's been through a lot, but he's someone that guys really gravitate to. They love being around him, and he's a good kid, right? And a fun guy to be around. Like you said, Coach, you root for him and you want him to do well. And that's why I think he had that mindset when the Flyers came to him, like, you want to play forward? He's like, sure, whatever it takes, right? Like he's got that mindset and that mentality to do whatever it takes. But I feel now that he's, he is a defenseman, and it's good that he's back playing D and playing the position that he was kind of, drafted as a first round pick. And I think he's got a lot of upside there, and some good chance to play here down the stretch and get some games in, and maybe some more minutes here and see kind of what he has. But I think he brings a different element that the team doesn't doesn't have. So hopefully it can work out. So
Schultz, I don't want to, again, I was an equipment guy. I watched a lot of hockey, but I feel like watching Sam in his first few games when he got back and he got to play D, obviously he had a couple really big fights that he did really, really well with some tough customers. But the main thing to me was he just kept it simple, man. He didn't try to do too much. And that's, a lot of guys, you can play a long time if you do that, especially, he's a big kid, big body.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be standing.
Yeah. Who wants to fight that guy?
Yeah.
But I was so happy, like Riley said, and you as well, like you pull for him because he's such a great kid. And he's had, poor guy, you felt for him all these years. Like, you get going and get hurt, like exactly. You said, nothing you could do about it. But
like you said, if he can be a reliable player and the coaches have confidence in him to put him out there, and like you said, play simple, make a good pass, defend hard, play hard in your own end. Like watching the games in Lehigh, these guys, no one wanted to come to the front of the net, right?
No way, man.
And like he was like, you know what I mean? He's a big, strong, and you need that. You need that mentality, and I think he brings that, and he has the ability, he has the skill to make the plays. But like you said, just simplify your game, play hard, bring that other element that the team doesn't have, right? So I think he can be a big factor going forward for sure.
Yeah, I hope he can find his way. I'm still rooting for the guy, obviously, and I think he's just starting to really gain his confidence. Realizing how much space he can actually create for himself. And like you said, you make the 5-foot, 10-foot pop out play, just move the puck and get up the ice and shoot when you can. Obviously get it through the forward that's fronting the shot, but get it through the net. I mean, I don't see why he can't do that. He's got a big shot, and I think he's had enough adversity. He's had enough mind games now where he's just like, I think he's kind of like settled into what he knows he can do. And I just he brings that element that Flyers never had. When he scored that goal, I never seen a team so excited for a guy. What I mean? That energy. I was hoping the Flyers could have carried over that energy, into the next few games, because I was like, wow, this is like the glue, or this is like kind of the energy they've been missing. But obviously it's he's one guy in the equation, and but if you can continue to keep growing and keeping it simple and being a good team guy, which we know he is, that's probably easy for him. And
like you said, you saw how excited the guys were, right, when he got that goal, and shows what type of character he is and personality is, and how much the guys love having him as a teammate, right? So it's like you said, he's on the right track, and it's nice to see him back playing and contributing. So hopefully he can keep trending in the right direction, because he'll be a big factor for the team for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
So Schultz, I got one more thing for you, and Riley might have something, but I have to bring this up, people. So you killed penalties, obviously, and all you guys blocking shots and shit. I don't know how. I got hit last night, my men's league game, blocking jumping out. I was actually
trying to get out of the way.
I was trying to get, I swear to God, I tried to get out of the way. And I don't know, this puck would have gone 10 feet wide, because I literally jumped out of the lane. And when you're moving in your pants on the inside of the leg, there's nothing really there. The guy got me right there. And I'm going to be able to show a bruise on another day, because it's still, but anyway, and it was a muffin too. But I'm like, ow, I'm yelling. But anyway.
Did you win the game at least? Did you win?
Yeah, we did lose last week, but it
was worth it then. It was worth it.
Yeah, right. Fuck. No, it wasn't. We could have lost it. It wouldn't have been either way. But what I was gonna say, Schultz, every time we used to play Washington, and you were on the right side, there were OV stands. I used to just cringe, because the puck's coming. It's
coming around the horn, right?
And it's funny, like we were talking about this last night. Everyone knows where he's gonna be. Doesn't matter, because one way or another, they're going to get the puck there. Like you guys did a great job. Like, you were a great penalty killer, but every time that puck would get to him and you turned and you were facing that shot, I don't know how you do it, man. I don't know how you did it. I just was like, the ball's on you to just stand there, because you see other guys do it. Obviously it's part of the game. It's part of your job. But I used to say, you do not make enough money to stand in front of that 10 feet away from that man with him winding up. Thank God. Well, not really. Thank God. Thank God it never hit you like where you really got hurt, but usually it just went in the net. Because
exactly.
It's like Mike Richards said, this guy watching him shoot pucks. I'm like, even from my angle, I had the best angle in the world in the first
see right
and
there,
third
yeah.
period. You'd see it, and I could see you coming out, but
Yeah.
that you don't even once he hits it, like it either hits the net or hits the glass. You hear it hit the glass.
He's just shooting. He's just shooting hard, right? He's waiting for it. He's just ready to pound it. Yeah, but part of the I mean that one, the playoff series we had against them or whatever, and I remember Lappy was coaching the power play, and just what he did and how he blocked shots, right? You talk about playing for a coach and not wanting to let him down. He's like, you got to get out in this lane. And I'm like, oh boy,
no,
this is going to hurt. But like you said, come playoff time, come that time. And you're like, is this really how we're going to play this? Can I maybe just stand right beside him? So he can't shoot at all.
Just make it
like a 4-on-3 on the other side with Backstrom.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. The problem, like you said, they got too many weapons.
Too many weapons.
If you pull someone over there or open up, you got Oshie right in the slot from 10 feet. He's probably going to bury it if he gets a free look. And that Backstrom, what a player he is! The passing. I mean, the other day, I think
that's the problem, and that's why you say like it's what's going there, but like they just have so many weapons and so many other plays that they can beat you on, right? So it's pretty tough to defend. So
I was there. It was actually that took Elvis, my son, to the Flyers game on Saturday. They were playing the Caps. I think Ovi had 2 goals from that spot. And there were, I could hear some people going, it's coming. I'm like, and in my head, I'm like, yeah. And they've known it for how many years? And it's still, it's almost like line A. He lines up over there too. If he gets a shot off, if it's not blocked, I don't know if the goalies even see it, to be honest with you. The way
I know. It comes off so quick.
But anyway, I just had to bring that up because I used to I just don't know how you could go face that shot like that. You didn't have a mask.
I definitely didn't. Like you talked about. I didn't know that saying I didn't want to. Like Coach talked about, he didn't want to fight, but there's certain things you got to do to stay in the league. And I knew at that point or throughout my career, there's certain things I had to do to, like you said, to find a role on a team and be a part of a team. There's certain things every guy has to do and buy in. And that was part of my role and my responsibility. So you try to do it to the best of your ability. And sometimes it doesn't feel too good, but it's it's worth it in the long run.
You did it, and you don't stick around for as many games as you did if you didn't do it right. So
you mean you didn't tell Lappy, no, I'm not going to block the shot?
Well, if it was regular season, but that was playoffs, so I couldn't tell. Not going to do it. But,
I used to just tell Lappy, God, stop putting your face there for God's sake.
Block with your ass in front of it
like that. Do something, man. Poor guy got it twice in one season.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Fearless.
But
yeah, exactly. So.
Right on, Schultze. Well, we appreciate you taking the time.
This has been fun, guys.
It's been awesome. So we'll let you get back to the real world. Enjoy your fam.
For sure, you guys too. It's great catching up. So
thank you, seriously. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
thanks.
Yeah, good luck with everything,
really appreciate it
for sure.
Thanks, brother.
Talk to you soon.
Take care, guys.
Bye bye. That episode was brought to you by Settlemyre Skate Sharpening. Whether you're a youth hockey player, weekend warrior, or anything in between, Nasty's got you covered. Check it out at settlemyreskatesharpening.com.
Any of your hockey needs, and don't forget about Howie Steele. Howie's got the steel, got it here. So Howie and Nasty, we got the steel.
Beauty.
So make sure you contact me about that.
Also brought to you by Body Check Wellness, for all those weekend warriors dealing with those aches and pains and all the other shit that comes along with it. Check out bodycheckwellness.com for all your CBD and functional mushroom needs. And a huge thank you to Nick Schultz for carving out the time to hop on with us. Awesome guy. Go way back. We were 16-year-old rookies together in Prince Albert in the Western Hockey League. And obviously we still keep in contact today, and great to see him doing so well and staying in the Flyers organization and, just kind of passing on his knowledge to the younger generation.
He is a guy that, riles, even with your daughters, if they end up playing hockey or a sport, like I know with my son, Elvis. You want to talk about a true professional, Nick Schultz. He did, it's not like he was a nerd and didn't have any fun. The guy liked to have a good time and everything, but you talk about a guy that came to work. We've talked about a bunch of guys that we've been able to meet over the years, but Schultz, just a true professional, and you couldn't hire a better guy to do what he's doing with those young guys to learn the right way. And he's got a great sense of humor, and he's just a guy, him and I know Chris Stewart's there too. Another great guy that, teach guys, be hard on them, but be fun, so Schultz, he's just a great guy, man. He was very important in the locker room. He maybe kind of downplays how important he was, but he was a big fixture in the locker room for 3 years, and his third year here, he didn't get a lot of ice time. He got scratched a lot. He actually ended up being kind of the seventh, eighth guy. You would have never known it, pouting. Obviously he wanted to play. He was just great. He was great in the locker room, and he's a great guy. His family's awesome. It was nice to have him on and get to kind of catch up and let people know exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, for sure. A quiet leader. And, he quietly played over 1,000 games. Like, you never heard a ton of him, and I guess that's probably a good thing. You dress in almost 82 games a year, and, the teams on the Eastern side of things don't know who you are almost because you don't see, but nonetheless, super important to teams. He's had his head on straight since I've known him as a 16-year-old. Obviously that's, parenting in the home life, he's obviously, a grounded human, but to see him, keep his head on straight, I think that's the biggest thing when you're teaching the younger generation is how do you keep your head on straight? Because a lot of these guys have a ton of skill. It's not the skill that keeps them out of the NHL or keeps them, it keeps them from finding that true consistency. It's their heads, it's like, how do you keep your head on straight? And I think he has the ability to teach that because he's such a pro, and it really comes back to just basics, right? He knew he had to be early to the rink and put in that effort. He says in the interview that, nothing came easy for him. And I understand that from a different perspective. Nothing came easy. Nothing does come easy for most hockey players. So you got to, go above and beyond. But, his mentality, his attitude, like you said, the attitude when you're not playing, getting scratched every game. I know what that's like. And if you have a bad attitude, they just get rid of you. You disappear.
Exactly.
If you had a bad attitude, you wouldn't be, player development for the Flyers either.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, he like you say, he said, early on in many when he made the team there, he never really got to work on skills. Obviously he's got a skill. If you're playing in NHL, you have skill. Yeah. Like, I don't care who it is. Like, we always poke fun at you and joke, but you could play hockey. Obviously there's guys that are
in different dimensions.
Like, it's just different types of players. And you need all of that, in my opinion, to have a team.
For sure.
You have to have these different aspects, but Schultze, not like you said, nothing came easy, but God, did he work, man. He worked so hard, and he wasn't the most skilled guy, but he was smart. He made the smart play, the easy play, never tried to do too much. Blocking shots. I know we kind of brought that up a little bit. I used to cringe.
Yeah. That's
with him coming out at that and
seeing that thing come around the horn and knowing what position my body is going to be in when that thing comes off the stick is the question.
Please miss it or break your stick or something.
Yeah.
Man. Like, oh my God. But he worked his ass off, and he deserved playing that many games. Like you said, if he wouldn't have if he didn't. So
that is the truth. Not by accident anyways.
No, that's right.
All right, Nas, that's a wrap for episode 19 of Nasty Knuckles. Be sure to tune in next week for episode 20. Until then, have some fun, stay safe, and we'll see you soon, Knuckleheads.
See you, Knuckleheads.